start with some prayer. Dear Father in heaven, I thank you for this day. I thank you that you have promised to speak through me and help me today and present to us what you want us to know and teach us a little bit more about your story, and so we can just appreciate you and know you better. And this I ask in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we're at 37 AD, and 37 AD is a big break in everything's going on in the empire. Stuff changes all over the place in the empire. The very first thing is that you'll see that Tiberius dies. That's the emperor. He dies in 37, and some reports say that he died of natural causes. Some say, nah, he was poisoned. Some say, if you follow the legacy of the four Roman emperors, every one of them is killed for some reason. So my thinking he's probably poisoned, but I couldn't get a definitive answer from anybody I was looking at. So he dies, and they put Gaius, who is also nicknamed Caligula, and there's all kinds of story about how he gets chosen and all that, but he gets chosen, and he is, so he's the next guy. He's going to be emperor for 4 years, and that's about all they could take of him. So that's, he's not a real, So he is going to be assassinated in 4 years, and he is going to be replaced by Claudius, who is actually his uncle. So, and I'm telling you all that because today's time frame is a 7-year time frame. We're going to go from 37 to 44. And this is going to happen in the middle. So somewhere in the middle of our story, and it's hard for me to say, okay, now exactly when Peter is at Cornelius's house is when Gaius gets assassinated. I don't know the timing of it all. I just know it all happens in this time frame. So Luke did not give us dates as he wrote everything out, so it's not easy to, and they didn't even date things like that. They dated things like, okay, this is the 3rd year of so-and-so's reign and whatnot, and then if depending on whose reign they're going to, like this is the 3rd year of Caligula, okay, but it's also the 2nd year of this person over here. So then you have to always juggle these. It's not an easy puzzle to figure out. So all these are estimated dates, but 37 is a pretty strong date for the death of Tiberius. And Caligula is going to be assassinated in the time frame of our lesson today too, and he will be replaced by Claudius. So that's the emperors. Those are the big head honchos there. Pilate is replaced right at 37 too. And I'll give you some reasons for that. And he is going to be replaced by a guy named Marcellus. He's going to be in there for 4 years, and then Herod Agrippa and all that. So there's lots of little changes that are going on in the local governmental stages around Palestine. Okay, so Caiaphas is also replaced at this time. So Caiaphas, everything changes. Caiaphas is replaced by his brother-in-law Jonathan, who's only going to be there for 2 years. And then Theophilus, and then Simon Canthus. Simon Canthus is the only guy who's not related to Caiaphas in this story. And then we'll go back to more related to Caiaphas. So it's very complicated, and as we get into the story, you'll find out that everybody marries their aunts and their nieces and their nephews and their uncles and all this kind of stuff, right? It just is, it's a swamp, I'm saying. It really is.
It's a modern term.
That's a modern term, but you understand it. Pilate, let me tell you what happened to Pilate and some of the stuff that went on with him. In Samaria during his time, this is one of the reasons he gets kicked out. He gets kicked out for incompetency. So during his time in Samaria, the Samaritans worshipped up on Mount Gerizim, and they worshipped a copy of the tabernacle, so to speak, and they had their own intermixed, when they, what do you call it, when you synchronize and you put two different things together, so they have a little bit of the idolatry stuff mixed into their Jewish stuff, so they're kind of mixed like that. Well, anyway, they have a big religious gathering, and Pilate thinks it's illegal, so he sends in the troops, the legionaries, and destroys half of their stuff and kills a lot of people, and word gets back to Tiberius, and he's not pleased because Pilate's number one job is to keep the peace. That's his main job, is to keep the peace. And of all the different territories, Judea is a difficult territory to keep the peace, okay? Because they don't want to be ruled by Rome, period. And that's why they're so thinking that Messiah has to solve this problem, rule by Rome, okay? So he did that. One time he has his army march into Jerusalem carrying banners with the picture of the, that's flags, with the picture of the emperor on it. Well, that causes huge violent uproar because to them that breaks the second commandment. You shall not have any gods before me, you shall not make any graven images. And this is, in Jewish mind, a graven image. So to march into the city with flags will cause riots. So he was not smart. He should have just known that much, but the same thing with coins. They could not have a picture of an emperor on the coin. And so they had different coinage in Jerusalem and in Judea than the rest of them. So when Jesus takes the coin and says, whose coin is this? He's picking up a Roman coin in his hand. And everybody's going, what are you touching? You know, and so he, to a little bit, Jesus likes to stir the pot a little bit. I mean, so no judgment there. I'm just trying to say he's not always, he's just different than sometimes than I pictured as a little child growing up. As this, you know, he's got more to him. There's another time Herod, see, this is the sleep thing. It's I'm on Pilate. Yes. Pilate brings in these shields, these golden or brass covered shields, and they have the emperor on them. And he wants to dedicate them and put them on the archways that line the temple grounds. Oh my goodness, we almost have war. I'm serious. This is like, you cannot believe what's going on. So I'm telling you some of these stories so you get an idea of what life is like around there and how quickly things uproar. Because even if it doesn't enter our story, it kind of gives you an idea of why people are reacting like they are to all the different things that go on. So he tries to do that, and he basically almost starts a war, and then so he tries to put it in Herod's temple in Jerusalem, and that doesn't work either. And they, they revolt, and so he ends up taking it down to Caesarea. Caesarea is, here's Jerusalem. Caesarea is, well, it's not even on here. It's down here in this area on the coast, okay? And that is the capital, so to speak, for the Roman governor of the area. He lives in Caesarea. That's where they live. So that's their capital location, is down in Caesarea. And we have some things happening there today in our story down in Caesarea. So he goes down there and he dedicates it there. And Caesarea is at least, has a lot of Jewish people in Caesarea, but there's a lot of Gentiles that live in Caesarea. So it's more likely to be accepted down there. So he puts it up down there, and word gets back because the head guy of Syria, which is up here, has authority over Pilate. Pilate is under this guy's authority. He hears about all this. He writes back to Tiberius. Tiberius goes, you're out for incompetency because you've done these stupid things that start all these almost wars going on. So all that has gone on. You kind of get a little idea of why Pilate was like the way he was when Jesus, just giving you a little bit of his personality of what's going on with him when he's doing that. Okay, so that's what happened to Pilate. Now, I got to tell you about Caligula, because this is going to indirectly enter our story. Caligula is Gaius. He's the emperor now, and within it, he starts off fine, but within about 6 months, he has a lot of success, mostly up in Germanica area, where he's conquering more territory, and his success gets to his head, and he decides he's a god and deifies himself. And so he looks at everything from that viewpoint that he is to be worshipped and like that. So now Tiberius, there's all this backstory. Tiberius had put Agrippa the First. You remember, I don't know if you won't remember, in the chart of Herod's chart, he has, let's see if I can do this by memory. Okay, so here's Herod the Great. And his first wife, and I put her way over here, was Mariamne, right? And she is a Hasmonean princess, which makes her Jewish. That's a huge issue. They have at least 2 sons, Aristobulus and I can't remember the other name. Alexander. Okay.
The second.
All right, and then this guy is going to marry his sister's, and her name is Salome. I'm going to call her Salome the First, and she has a daughter, and her name is missing my memory at the moment, and his son is Agrippa the First, and he is going to marry her. His daughter's daughter, I think, or maybe it's just that one, his aunt. His aunt sounds more better. Okay, so Agrippa's going to come into our story. Okay, so I'm telling you about Agrippa. She gets assassinated like 17 BC or something like that, or maybe less than that. And these guys are sent with their mom. No, he gets married. He gets sent to, sleep house. These boys get sent to Rome to be raised in Rome. And while they're there, they get married. And they get married to these people, and he marries his aunt who's up there or whatever, okay? They have this kid, all right? And then these guys are assassinated by Herod because they are of Jewish blood, and he's worried they're going to take over his throne. So this guy is also Jewish, to at least some degree. That's all it takes, is some degree. So he is Jewish. Now, that's who we're going to focus on, that guy right there. I'm just trying to tell you how we got to him. Tiberius had put him in jail, and when Tiberius is dead, Caligula takes him out and releases him and gives him territory and lets him be called King Agrippa, Herod Agrippa. And so he gets the title king. The Jews love this because they now have a king of Jewish blood. That doesn't mean he's a good king. It just means he's a king of Jewish blood, okay? And they like that because they keep thinking they're going to get a king in David's line. He's not in David's line, but at least he's Jewish blood. So they like that. So that's why I'm telling you all about this. Well, in the meantime, so he gets put, now he's ruling part of this area. okay? He's mostly ruling up here. He doesn't really have this yet, but he will get that soon. In the meantime, down in Alexandria, Egypt, all kinds of troubles is going on between the Jewish community and the Greek community. And it happened mostly when Caligula becomes emperor. And these guys don't like these guys, and these guys don't like these guys. And they're constantly going back and forth, and it's creating riots in Alexandria. I'm gonna tell you, this is interesting how this plays out. So, they both appeal to Caesar. So they both appeal to Caesar. That means you have to travel to Rome and go in front of Caesar and meet him, just like Paul had to travel to Rome to go in front of Caesar to meet him. And they each present their case, and Caligula is back and forth. And so one of them decides that to celebrate Caligula, they're going to take images of him and set them up, a great big image, in the Jewish quarter. Okay, so this doesn't go over real well. All right, so you see this conflict. This is happening down in Egypt, way down here. But this is a major center. All right, so Caligula, they come in. I'm kind of mixing the story up a little bit, but basically what he does is the Jews tear it down. Caligula gets really mad, and he sends an edict. He goes, to get back at you guys down here, I'm going to order that a very large statue of me be put up in the Jerusalem temple. Okay? This is during this time frame, so I'm telling you, while our story is going on, this is going on at the same time. Oh my goodness, can you imagine what goes on in the people there? Because this isn't just somewhere in the city. This is dead center in the middle of the temple. So he's probably right where Antiochus Epiphanes put his God up. And the people are, you can imagine that they're reliving that crisis. And so all kinds of horrible things go on, and the legate of Syria gets involved, and back and forth, and all this stuff's going on. So we've had some turnovers of governors by now, so time's going through. But what they do is they send letters back and forth. And the letter goes from the guy up here in Syria has been ordered to put up that statue. And he goes, okay, this is not going to work well, right? So he wants to obey it because he's all about obeying the emperor. He sends a letter back to Rome, and he goes, maybe we should delay this till after Passover, or maybe we should delay this till after the crops come in so that we get the crops this year, stuff like that. And that really makes Caligula mad. So they have these letters going back and forth. And this is when Agrippa steps in and goes and talks to Caligula and calms him down, okay? So Caligula then sends, okay, but if I have any other problems, it's going up and there's nothing stopping it, and if you try to stop it, it's the death sentence. Okay, so in the meantime, that letter gets delayed. In the meantime, the legate of Syria sends a letter to them, to Caligula, and he gets asking him to delay again, and he gets really furious because he already sent this letter. And he sends another letter back and says, okay, it's insubordination. Both you and the governor of Judea are ordered to commit suicide. Because they haven't got this thing up. I'm telling you what the policies are of what's going on in the kingdom at this time. And then, okay, so that letter gets delayed a little bit because it's winter, and it's being sent by ship, and there's storms, and you don't get mail quickly when there's storms. Okay, so that's going on. Anyway, Caligula gets assassinated right about this time because it's gone over the top, and this is probably not his only story. He's got stories everywhere. And so that letter gets that information gets to these guys about, I don't know, 10 days before the other one shows up. And so as soon as an emperor is assassinated, the edicts are canceled. So the statue does not have to go up, and no, they do not have to commit suicide. Yeah, that's how that story goes. Yeah, at one point, the Jewish people said, the Jewish people down in Alexandria who are trying to calm this situation down, said, but when you won the big battles up in Germanica, we gave sacrifices to your benefit. And we did all that. He goes, did you sacrifice for me or to me? And if you didn't sacrifice to me, they don't count. So that was his thoughts. Yeah, I've got all into that one. Yeah, so that's Caligula.
And that was just in the 4 years that were, wow.
And this is probably just the story of this province. You know?
Do you know what happened? Who killed Caligula?
Yes. It was one of the Praetorian Guard who's like, the Praetorian Guard in Rome is like really high up in the authority system of the government. And the lead guy of that had just took on the authority to do that. And took on the authority to pick who the next emperor was. And the Senate of Roman Empire just said, okay, you're a big honcho, you do this.
And you got all these troops.
Yes. So that's what happened to him. Okay, Herod Agrippa, I gotta cover him, and then we'll start in on what's going on, because I knew this at this time we were gonna have all kinds of things going on. His great-grandfather is Herod the Great. His grandfather is Herod the Great, and I already told you about all of this. And he marries, I have it here. He marries, Berenice. He marries a girl named Berenice, and they have 3 kids. That's going to be, they have actually 4 kids, I think. They have 1 son and 3 daughters. The son is, he's not on your chart because I didn't take the chart this far. He's Agrippa II. And then there's 1, 2, 3, and the third one comes into our story later on. That is Drusilla. It sounds like Cinderella's sister. Okay. So he, I think I told you most of what he was friends with, since he grew up in Rome, he was friends with Claudius as a boy. And so so they are good buddies, Agrippa I and Claudius, who is going to be now the emperor after Caligula is out of there. And they are good friends, and when Claudius becomes emperor, he gives Agrippa the whole territory as a kingdom. And they are no longer, they are sort of functioning as an independent kingdom with ties to Rome, rather than as a governor from Rome there. And the people are really pleased with that little bit of freedom. Not that Agrippa is all that great. So for Agrippa himself, if he is in Jewish territory, if he's in Jerusalem, if he's there at the festival, he's all for it. He is worshiping with them, and he's good with them. And one time he was asked to go up at the temple, at the place where you can stand and read the scriptures. And since he was king, he had the option of sitting down to read the scriptures. Nobody else could sit down when they read the scriptures. But the king could sit down when he read the scriptures, and he chose to take the scriptures and stand up in front of them. And they were like, oh, this is our king, this is our king, we love this king, he, all this kind of stuff, right? So, but when he goes down into Caesarea, he does the same kind of thing in the pagan in the pagan temples and worship. So he is being to each group of people that he controls, whatever he wants to be. So he's okay and not okay all at the same time. Alrighty, that's some background. I've left out a ton, but you get a little bit of idea of what's going on with the people and all the stuff around them. So Peter's,
Soap opera.
oh, it is very much a soap opera, yes. Yes, I have spent a lot of fun times going, oh my goodness, and then, and trying to keep track of who's who and what's what. And the fact that everybody has the same name is a little bit of a confusion. Okay, so we're on chapter 9 in Acts, and we've just had Philip down at Gaza talking to the Ethiopian eunuch, and he baptizes him, and the Spirit takes him out of there right from the water, so it's almost like he just disappears, and he ends up on his way up the coast. He's going to end up at Azotus, and then he's going to go up here, and he's going to end up at Caesarea, which is just crazy that it's not on here. But it's right about here, or somewhere right in here on the coast. So he's going to end up there, which I think is funny because he is there, and he is there for quite a while, and yet God sends Peter to Caesarea. So remember how last week I told you that he seemed like he was using his people, and God uses his people in how he wants to. So sometimes people who are there, God will send new people, pull them around, move them around. It's just interesting to me how God uses his people. So anyway, so this is Peter's story now. We're jumping. Paul is up in Joppa, up in Tarsus. He's up in Tarsus, yes. I'm sorry, my friend. And he's up there for a while now. And so now we're talking about Peter's story. So Peter goes down to Lydda, and that's the plain of Sharon. Here is, I saw it. Now here's right here. It's this area in here, from Jerusalem down to here. And he is going to run across this guy who's a cripple. By the way, this is Lydda, wherever. That's where Ben Gurion Airport is right now. So that tells us that. So actually, I've been there. So cool. I was only in the airport, but Yeah, so that's where they were. It's near Tel Aviv. So there's lots of saints there. So it goes, now Peter was traveling through those regions, and he came down to the saints who lived at Lydda, or Lydda, whatever one that is. There he met a man named Aeneas, who had been bedridden for 8 years, for he was paralyzed, and he heals them. And it causes, a huge positive reaction for people to start believing. So that I thought that's a cute little story. There's a great response. It's more than a cute little story. I mean, for this guy, he's healed, and there's a great response, and that's how God reached those people. And about the same time, down in Joppa, there is a lady whose name is Dorcas or Tabitha, depending on Hebrew or Greek. And they both mean the same thing. They both mean gazelle. So that's what her name means. And she was a nice lady who just sewed for people. That's what she did. She sewed for people. She sewed clothes and gave them to people. I just love that sort of a quote, quote, unknown lady who isn't out preaching the gospel, who isn't really saying much of anything, is displaying Jesus Christ simply by what she does out of her kindness. And that I thought was really encouraging to us in the way we feel like we're just this one little person doing this one little thing, and our job is this one little thing, and whatever impact is this going to make, you know? And here she is, she's just sewing for people. And she dies, and it creates this huge mourning and sadness, and oh no, we can't live without this lady, we need this lady, you know, and there's this huge, I loved it, and so they find out that Peter's nearby, and go, let's go get him. And so Peter gets to, am I remembering correctly that this is the first time Peter raised someone from the dead? As far as I know, I'm thinking, how do they even know Peter can raise her from the dead, you know? And so they go and get her, and of course Peter goes up there, and I thought it was interesting, he goes up there and he prays, and then he turns and looks at her. And then she's all you know, laid out on the bed up in the upstairs room. And they don't usually do that. They usually put the oils and the perfumes all over the body real quick to try to stop the odor, to try to get the body wrapped and into the grave within the first 24 hours. That's Jewish tradition to do that, so that it delays the body's decaying a little bit, gives them time to get this together, and they just do this very quickly, much quicker than our culture does it. So here she's up there, so evidently there's something that is making them not hurry. And so they go and they get Peter, and he comes and he, it's so cool. It says, I'm on 38. Since Lydda was near Joppa, the disciples, having heard that Peter was there, sent 2 men to him, imploring him, do not delay in coming to us. So Peter arose and went with them, and he arrived, and they brought him into the upper room. And all the widows stood beside him, weeping and showing all the tunics and garments that Dorcas used to make while she was with them. And Peter sent them all out, and he knelt down and prayed. But here's cool. He turned then, and turning to the body, I'm thinking, my picture, if I'm picturing the story, I'm picturing the body there and Peter praying over the body. But it wasn't. And I don't know why this little detail. I don't have any meaning for this detail at all. I just am interested in that he prays and then he turns back to the body. But I have no spiritual meaning for that. So I'm just saying I just like that detail. And turning to the body, he says, Tabitha, arise. I don't have enough faith to do that. I don't have enough faith to walk into a dead body, a room with a dead body, and pray, and then turn and tell the body to get up. I just don't. I'm in awe of Peter's faith. It's way past mine. So, and she opened her eyes. And when she saw Peter, she sat up, and he gave her his hand, and he raised her up, kind of as an insult.
It's not, is it because they believe in Christ, or not because of Christos the King?
Well, the Gentile ones may not have identified the difference initially, but the Christians did. They understood it really well. And if you look at it, the real word is like this, Christanios. This is just the masculine ending. So if you put a masculine ending on the word, that's that. So if you ever look it up, that's what you're going to see, Christanios. But the word is Christian, and so that name stuck. Now that couldn't be given by Jews. If Jewish unbelievers could not call these people Christians because Christ means Messiah. So the Jewish people could not look at them and go, oh, you are Messiah followers. They wouldn't be able to make that name. So it's the Gentiles who named us Christians. That happened for the very first time in Antioch, in this messed up city that has a reputation for the most horrible place that was all about having fun, right? So that's what that happened. I thought that was pretty cool. By the way, Jerusalem hears about it. The church in Jerusalem hears about it. And they go, oh no, what is going on there? We have a whole church full of this. Now, their big concern could have been, we follow Jesus with all of our morals, all of our obedience, all of our sticking to the rules, all of our great things. Are they going to follow Jesus with all their immorality that they're used to? With their culture that they're used to? Is it going to become two separate sects? Is it going to become like SECTS, by the way, in case I pronounced that incorrectly? Are they going to like degenerate Christianity into this loose thing? We're going to keep it into this tight thing. You can see how there could be a huge break between these two churches. So the guys from Jerusalem said, we gotta send somebody to go see what's going on. And so they send Barnabas. Perfect choice. I think God did it again. Barnabas is from Cyprus, which means he's got a Gentile viewpoint because he grew up there, even though he's very, very Jewish and he's a Levite himself, but he at least understands that. They send him down to Antioch, okay? And he gets there, and he could have looked out there, and he sees this huge group, and there's this huge church. It's probably very big, and there's a bunch of Jewish believers on this side. There's a bunch of Gentile believers on this side, or they're mixed, and they're trying to get along and worship. And he is so excited that he's not worried about all the problems these guys still have. Because they do. They've got baggage to get rid of, because they come from this Gentile background. But the Jews have baggage to get rid of too, because they come from a legalistic background. So this is like an antinomian background, and this is a legalistic, and everybody has baggage to get rid of. And he is excited, and all he does is encourage them. And I'm thinking that is the best thing that he could do. And he stays there for a little bit, and then he goes, you know who we need? We need Saul. So he goes up to Tarsus, and he gets Saul and brings Saul back. And when he brings Saul back, Saul is perfect. He has been raised with the Jewish baggage, seriously. And he knows the Greek baggage, seriously. And he has met the Messiah that brings them together. And he is the one that can do this. So he goes there, and they teach there for a year together and unite this church. And they're doing well. And they are growing and getting bigger, and on, and where am I at? We got all of chapter 12 to do. Okay. All right. So by now, Agrippa is king in Jerusalem, in Judea. And we're going to start chapter 12 now. And for all the other details, you're just going to have to read through your Bible and find them, because I can't go fast enough. For this course will last for 5 years.
That's okay.
So we're down back in Jerusalem, and Herod Agrippa, King Herod Agrippa, this guy, is wanting very much to please the Jews. Remember, when he's in Jewish territory, he pleases the Jews. When he's in Greek territory, he pleases the Greeks. Well, when he's pleasing the Jews, he's not pleasing the Christian Jews. He's pleasing the Jewish Jews, the non-believer Jews. I keep there's two groups of Jews. And his great thing is, I know how to do this. I'm going to go get James, not James the just, James the brother of John the disciple, and I'm going to kill him. So he stabs him through with a sword, or has somebody stab him through with the sword. My guess is it's public, or it wouldn't be such a huge issue. And the Jews, you can tell the turmoil in the city, and you put your brain back into the Jewish church, the rest of their Jewish people are against them. So you got the Jewish Christians in the church trying to combine with the Jews that are their relatives that are against them. You see that conflict going on? And now Herod steps in, kills one of the disciples, John's brother, James the son of Zebedee, the ones that were fishing, and the Jews over here, thrilled. Oh, this is our Herod. He's getting rid of this blasphemous sect for us. And he sees that goes over really well, so he goes, okay, I'm going after Peter. And he does. And he arrests Peter and puts Peter in jail, and I'm going to do this one quickly, and I wish I didn't, but I am. Puts Peter in jail, and he has him guarded by four, what do they call it? Yeah, four, okay. So, yes, but there are four groups of soldiers. So he's got 4 soldiers at a time, and they rotate every 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever, so that he is never day or night without these soldiers. Now, this is during unleavened bread feast, so it's the same time of year that Jesus was crucified. And so he's in stocks, or in chains at least. Stocks is in Philippi, excuse me, that's a different story. Anyway, he's in chains. He's probably got a soldier and 2 soldiers at the gates. Okay, so he's got 4 at any given time. And Herod has delayed his execution to the end of the Passover week, so that buys a little bit of time, and Peter's going to be gone. And he's in jail. And he's sleeping. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't sleep well with a mouse. I wonder if I could sleep well knowing I was going to be executed at daybreak.
God gave him peace.
Yes, God gave him peace. So an angel comes, and a bright light shows, and it doesn't even wake him up. That is how well he's sleeping. The angel has to nudge the guy.
Mine says strike him.
Strike him.
Strike him.
Yes, like, wake up, Peter. I'm here to rescue you. Oh, okay. I don't know. And he goes, okay, get up. All right. Put your shoes on. Okay. Get your coat. All right. Let's go. Okay. And he thinks he's seeing a dream. So he's doing all, and he's falling, and they go right past the guards. Guards don't see him. They go out the gate. The gate just opens for them. The locked gate of the prison just opens for them, and they walk out, and Peter finds himself in the street, and he's in Jerusalem. This is all happening in Jerusalem. So he's probably at the Antonia Fortress, and he walks over to a while, and as soon as he's safe, the angel leaves. He goes over to a lady named Mary, of course, because everybody's named Mary. And it turns out this is John Mark's mother. And tradition says that house that he went to, where everybody's been praying for him, is the same house as the Last Supper took place in. Okay, so don't know, that's just tradition, says that. And there's a gate, and he knocks on the gate, and servant girl comes running out, and everybody inside is just praying like crazy. crazy, God, help, Peter, please rescue Peter, you gotta take care of Peter, we need Peter, da-da-da-da, okay? And it's Peter. She forgets to open the gate. She runs inside, she goes, Peter, it's Peter, he's at the gate. They go, no, he's not at the gate, he's in prison. It must be a vision, must be his angel you saw, because he's probably already dead by now. And Peter's knocking at the gate. And they come in, it's a cool story. It's a story that's fun to tell kids, I have to say. So the angel delivers him and he's free. It turns out at this point he goes in and he tells the story, but then he leaves and he goes somewhere. I don't know where he goes. He probably goes to some secluded. If I was Peter, I would get out of any public places at this point because Herod Agrippa is going to be mad. So come dawn, they go there. Soldiers are still standing there. Chains are still on the soldiers' legs that hook them to the, but there's no Peter in the middle. And nobody knows what happened. So he investigates, and the entire set of soldiers are executed for losing Peter. Okay. That story is done. Herod solved that problem. He's very annoyed that he couldn't get Peter dead so that he could get more praise from the Jews. And he leaves Jerusalem and goes down into Caesarea. In the meantime, there's about to be a festival in Caesarea that probably is a festival to Claudius of some sort, because it's a festival, and the people from Tyre and Sidon have come down. Tyre and Sidon are right here. They have come down to join in the festival, and he's very mad at these people. So I'm trying to figure out why he's very mad at these people. And some of the history says that earlier, up in that area, some youths put up a statue to maybe Claudius in one of the Jewish synagogues. And that caused all kinds of problems and a riot, and the head governor of that area had to take care of that. And that guy, and so I'm losing my details on this one, but there is an argument Herod goes up there to solve that. That's what it was. Agrippa goes up there to solve the problem at the synagogue with the statue in the synagogue. And he has an argument with the leader of that area, the governor of that area. So now, as they get back down, Herod is mad at the people of Tyre and Sidon for doing all this. But the people of Tyre and Sidon buy their grain from Herod. So he has evidently put a moratorium on grain, and they're gone hungry. So they've come down to make peace with Herod Agrippa so that they will be able to eat. So they've come down to try to do that. And they won over his chamberlain. It's all in here. And so he's ready to make peace with them. And they assemble in the great auditorium thing. It's not an auditorium, it's the great amphitheater. Thank you. So I got to sit in that amphitheater, and it's this beautiful thing, and Pastor Mark was down at the bottom, and he gave a message to us, and we had to have little earphones on this one because there was several pastors in the bottom, and they were giving messages to each of their groups. It was very cute. But if he hadn't had that, he was the only one, we could have heard him without the thing. But as you look out, we're looking west. You look straight out at the men. Okay, so there's the background of the stage, and then there's straight out into the men. So that you could picture Herod sitting on the stage on his throne. And there, the whole amphitheater is filled, and it's dawn. So the sun is coming up behind you. And his robes, this is according to Josephus, just saying, his robes are woven with silver. So he's got silver woven all through his royal robes. So what do you think happens when the sun rises and he glows? He glows like a god. And he starts to stand up and talk, and he's going to make this thing so that they can celebrate this festival and make peace with those guys and make a new treaty so that they can buy their grain. And they see that. And of course, what they really want is the grain. They want to make stuff good for him, but they go, oh, there's a God, there's a God. So the whole auditorium, you know how that, pretend you're in a football auditorium and your team is about to win Super Bowl. All right. They are standing up and shouting, a God, a God, a God. And he, being a Jew, does not turn it down. Now, regardless if he is a practicing Jew or not, he knows. And he does not turn this down. And God strikes him dead.
And he was eaten by worms and died.
Yes. According to Josephus, it took 5 days for that to happen. Yes. And he dies. Okay? And the last two, Claudius has to set up a new procurator. By this time, Agrippa's son is 17. And Claudius decides that that's too young and this is too difficult a territory for him to lead. And that might have been a good decision, but the people he put in there instead did not do any better. So it doesn't really matter. So he sets up another guy, and his name is Fadus, F-A-D-U-S, and he is there for a while, a couple years or more, maybe 4, and they're going to have lots of rotating governors there for a while, and it's going to end up that Agrippa II is actually going to be a governor come a few years from now. So, and how does chapter 12 end? Verse 24, the word of the Lord continued to grow and multiply. And, oh, I forgot to tell you about Barnabas and Saul's trip to Jerusalem. Whole story in there. I might have to catch that up next time. They have been in Jerusalem. They came there for, I forgot to tell you about Agabus and the famine and all that, so I'm behind. But anyway, we'll do a catch up next time. So they are ready to leave Jerusalem, and they take John Mark, whose mother at the place, the kid of the house that Peter went and knocked at the door, and they're going to go back to Antioch. And so I missed one midsection. But it's not recorded, so it doesn't matter. Maybe that part is. Who knows? What a mess. Okay, that only happens when you have a mouse under your bed all night. Okay.
You get a cat.
I have a cat, and the cat found the mouse, but couldn't catch the mouse at this point, yes, because it was underneath the dressers and such.